Okay, I'm gonna make this video now. I don't think I'm gonna end up getting another entry or presenting itself today to me. I was hoping for this 4-minute inversion here. Um, I don't think it's gonna happen. If it happens while I'm recording, I'll pause the recording. But looking at this candle, it's very doubtful. Um, Anyways, I took one trade today, and I took an out. It is incredibly frustrating how I failed to execute in a live trading environment. And the reason it's frustrating is I really don't know how to fix it. That's the frustrating part. So let me explain. Okay. So coming into today, I was bullish. I am still bullish. I think it's ridiculous if we came this close to the daily fair value gap that's unfilled here and don't touch it. I think we will tap this, if not today, next week. I cannot see how that doesn't happen. That's a target that I'm looking for. That has not gotten taken yet. But earlier in the morning, I was looking for this high here. Previous daily high was already taken, so I didn't mark that out. I marked out previous daily low just in case we were going to be bearish. But I came into the session being bullish. My condition was this 4-hour here. If we were going to inverse it, which at one point it did look like we were going to, then I would have been bearish to these lows just because there's a lot of low resistance liquidity here. But we ended up holding the 4-hour, which made me bullish. And so then I went to the 1-hour. I'm just going to show the 1-hour here. There's really not much to show. But because we held the 4-hour and we inversed these two 15-minute candles, I was looking for buys. I didn't care that we took London high already because I had another target being this high, and then of course this high that we still haven't taken. So I didn't care that we didn't take London, or that we took London high already. Let me just delete this. Okay. So that being said, I was looking for longs. Go to the 5-minute, looking for a continuation. What do we get? We get a nice push back into a 5-minute. Actually, 2 5 minutes here, right? So a really nice retracement where we filled everything, and then a nice reaction off the 5-minute, off of both these 5-minute fair value gaps. So it was 3-minute. It was a 3-minute entry. I know my mentor entered on a 4-minute candle because technically this was the highest candle to inverse. But I liked the 3-minute. I didn't even see the 4-minute, but that's okay because I would have taken the 3-minute anyway. The 3-minute just looks a lot nicer here. It's a bigger gap to fill / inverse. And so let's get into the portion of the video as to why it's such a fine line and how I really don't know how to fix this. And I mean, you could just be of the mindset where it's like, oh, okay, this happened today. It's a fluke. It won't happen again, or, it will happen again, but very rarely again, it's a fluke. I'm not of that position because I feel like, and maybe this is just me being in a bad headspace here, but I feel like this happens to me more than it should, and I, again, don't know how to fix it. So, tangent over, let me get into what I'm talking about. So, my entry here was a limit. Clearly, you can see, well, not clearly because it's very close, but if I zoom in here, you'll see I did not get the limit fill. And price ended up pumping. And I wasn't honestly too upset with not entering here because I'm like, okay, my break even is fairly close to entry. So if we hit this level, I would not be surprised if we tap my break even before we go higher. That did not end up happening. This would have been a really nice trade, 0 drawdown, and just would have pumped to my TP. Would have been awesome. And a great way to close out the week, considering I was already had a winning trade on Tuesday, and it just would have been a great way to close out the week. But it was literally a fine line between me being profitable and unprofitable today, because we were 75, just over half a point away from getting a limit fill and then having my TP get smacked in the next like 15 or so minutes that preceded it. Now, of course, you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, the fix here is just enter with a market order. Easy. But you have to understand, that's great in hindsight. That makes sense. Enter with a market order. But when you have a limit set here and you're watching price and you're seeing that it's coming this close to your limit, you're not going to take the limit off and quickly enter with a market order. You're going to assume that this limit is going to get filled, considering it's literally less than 1 point away from tapping it. So, what I could do to just eliminate this would be never to enter with a limit order, always a market order, which I feel I've definitely been entering with more market orders recently. The problem with that is you get worse fills a lot of the times. It's a gamble. Sometimes you'll get a better fill. Most of the times you get a worse fill. And on a trade like this, where my break even, I felt like it was fairly close to my entry if I was entering with a limit order, and my limit order was very close to 1-to-1, so I didn't want to risk entering at a higher point and it being less than a 1-to-1. I kept the limit because of those two factors. Obviously, I could have entered when we had our little wick here and it didn't tap my limit. I could have entered and gotten lucky with my fill and it'd still be a 1-to-1 and this would have been a winning trade. But that was the factor that kept me from entering with a market order. Those two factors, okay? And I think they're valid, and I don't really think this was avoidable. I really don't. In the future, I'll try to enter with more market orders. I think limit orders are great, but they can fuck you like it did today. And let me get into the loss I took right after. The loss I took was a good loss. I'm not upset with this trade. Obviously you could make the argument I chased price. My model presented itself. Was it in a premium? Yes, it was. Did I risk less because of that? Yes, I did. But my model was there, and I asked myself the question, in back testing, when I'm fast forwarding through candles and placing an order, would I see this and say, yes, this is my model, I'm going to take this? Would it be a part of my data in my backtesting sessions? And the answer to that question is yes, because my model presented itself. It's here, I'm going to take it. My model does lose sometimes, just as everyone else's model loses. So this ended up being a loss that would go into that data set during backtesting. But this is a trade that I would take backtesting. The reason being, we did not tap into the unfilled daily fair value gap above yet. So I still had my target for longs that I wanted to see get hit. So we had something to target. Yes, we're in a premium, but we did tap into a decent, it wasn't a amazing retracement, but it wasn't a horrible retracement, because it's not like we left this 5-minute unfilled. I know we have another 5-minute here, but we tapped this and had a nice reaction from it. And it's not like we just used this tiny 5-minute here. We came a little bit lower, used this one. It was a good enough retracement for me. We used a 5-minute fair value gap. So then I was looking for entries. And the 1 minute was the highest time frame entry. So I entered with a limit order again. With a limit order. Got my fill this time. Stop underneath the low. Break even this high. TP, daily fair value gap above. And as you can see, at least it was quick, but we got stopped out. And within 2 or 3 minutes, worth noting, I guess, that we did not form, this was not a 15-minute yet when I entered. So that's worth noting. This candle had not closed yet, so this was not a 15-minute fair value gap yet. But I was paying attention to it because there was 7 or so minutes when I entered left in that 15-minute candle here. So I was paying attention to it. I wanted to see, like, you know, if I was in profit when this 15-minute candle closed and we still hadn't hit the high here for my break even, like let's say we were trading around here, I would have put my stop to break even, because I don't love when my TP or when my stop loss is at a 15-minute unfilled fair value gap. The trade was valid because this 15-minute hadn't closed yet, so again, that 15-minute fair value gap wasn't actually a fair value gap yet. Yeah, so everything about this trade was valid. You know, it sucks that it couldn't have been reversed in any way where I end up, you know, I have to pay attention to these things more, because obviously I focus on the negatives when they happen, but maybe I do. Maybe there are some positives to this, and I get saved sometimes from bad entries. I don't know. But days like today, really, they stink. And they leave a lasting impression on you mentally. You know, obviously I wish the roles were reversed, where this trade was the trade that, you know, ended up pumping. Or, I'm sorry. You know, like, I don't know, like, could I have not got my limit filled on this one, and, you know, could it have hit my break even first and made it invalid, and, you know, and then come back down, you know, that would have been great. Or could I have just, you know, gotten filled here with my limit? That would have been great also. So that is what I meant when I said earlier, when I first started the video, fine lines, fine margins, and it all comes down to execution. And I don't know how to fix it, because I feel like I executed to the best of my ability today. I had reasons as to why I was not going to place a market order for the first trade, and they were valid reasons. I got my limit filled on the second trade, which was a valid entry model. So that's the frustrating part, is that I'm doing everything right. You know, and please, if Joseph ends up watching this, I don't know. It would be a long video for him to watch. But if he watches this all the way through for some reason, please, if I'm wrong and I'm not doing something right, or there's something I could fix, please let me know. But I don't know. I just feel like I had my reasons as to why everything today happened the way it happened, and they were pretty valid. So, yeah, that was the day. That was the trading day. That was the trading week. This is a Friday, so end of the week. And yeah,